I'm Chella Courington, a poet and fiction writer, living now in California, originally from the Southern Appalachians. My poet today is James Dickey. Born in Atlanta in 1923, he died in Columbia, South Carolina in 1997. Like Sylvia Plath, James Dickey's personal life has often obscured what a fine and experimental poet he was. While his later poems broke from the tradition as he tried to create a poetry uniquely his, I was first drawn to Dickey's work because of its rootedness in the South. I grew up in North Alabama at the end of the Appalachians, so I lived in kudzu-covered country and junkyard pastures. The first poem of Dickey's I heard in the 9th grade when my English teacher read it aloud. Cherrylog Road. I could see that blue Chevy and heard that running corn whiskey. While critics find the sexual imagery too overt, I've always admired the detail and how Dickey gave personality to those old abandoned cars. Cherrylog Road. Off Highway 106 at Cherrylog Road, I entered the 34 Ford without wheels, smothered in kudzu, with a seat pulled out to run corn whiskey down from the hills. And then from the other side crept into an Essex, with a rumble seat of red leather, and then out again, aboard a blue Chevrolet, releasing the rust from its other color, reared up on 3 building blocks. None had the same body heat. I changed with them inward, toward the weedy heart of the junkyard, for I knew that Doris Holbrook would escape from her father at noon and would come from the farm to seek parts owned by the son among the abandoned chassis. Sitting in each in turn as I did, leaning forward as in a wild stock car race in the parking lot of the dead. Time after time I climbed in and out the other side, like an envoy or movie star met at the station by crickets. A radiator cap raised its head, became a real toad or a king snake as I neared the hub of the yard, passing through many states, many lives, to reach some grandmother's long pierced arrow, sending platters of blindness forth from its nickel hubcaps and spilling its tender upholstery on sleepy roaches. The glass panel in between, lady and colored driver not all the way broken out, the back seat phone still on its hook. I got in as though to exclaim, "Let us go to the orphan asylum, John. I have some old toys for children who say their prayers." I popped with sweat as I thought I heard Doris Holbrook scrape like a mouse in the southern state's sun that was eating the paint and blisters from 100 car tops and hoods. She was tapping like code, loosening the screws, carrying off the headlights, spark plugs, bumpers, cracked mirrors and gear knobs, getting ready, all ready, to go back with something to show, other than her lips' new trembling, I would hold to me soon. Soon, when I sat in the ripped back seat, talking over the interphone, praying for Doris Holbrook to come from her father's farm, and to get back there with no trace of me on her face to be seen by her red-haired father, who would change in the squalling barn, her back's pale skin with a strop, then lay for me in a bootlegger's roasting car with a string-triggered 12-gauge shotgun to blast the breath from the air. Not cut by the jagged windshields, through the acres of wreck she came with a wrench in her hand, through dust where the black snake dies of boredom, and the beetle knows the compost has no more life. Someone outside would have seen the oldest car's door inexplicably close from within. I held her and held her and held her, convoyed at terrific speed by the stalled, dreaming traffic around us. So the black snake, stiff with inaction, curved back into life and hunted the mouse with deadly excitement. The beetles reclaimed their field as we clung, glued together, with the hooks of the seat springs working through to catch us red-handed amidst the gray, breathless batting that burst from the seat at our backs. We left by separate doors into the changed other bodies of cars. She down Cherrylog Road, and I to my motorcycle, parted like the soul of the junkyard restored, a bicycle fleshed with power, and tore off up Highway 106 to continually drunk on the wind in my mouth, ringing the handlebar for speed, wild to be wreckage forever. I grew up in North Alabama at the end of the Appalachians, as I say, and really felt very, very at one with James Dickey. The next poem that I experienced in high school is The Sheep Child. Dickey does a fine job of recreating the pastoral poem as he combines the perverse with the beautiful, especially in the next to last stanza. The Sheep Child. Farm boys wild to couple with anything, with soft-wooded trees, with mounds of earth, mounds of pine straw, will keep themselves off animals by legends of their own. In the hay tunnel dark and dung of barns, they will say, I have heard tell, that in a museum in Atlanta, way back in a corner somewhere, there's this thing that's only half sheep, like a woolly baby pickled in alcohol. Because those things can't live, his eyes are open. But you can't stand to look. I heard from somebody who... But this is now almost all gone. The boys have taken their own true wives in the city. The sheep are safe in the West Hill pasture. But we, who were born there, still are not sure. Are we, because we remember, remembered in the terrible dust of museums? Merely with his eyes, the sheep child may be saying, I am here in my Father's house. I who am half of your world, came deeply to my mother in the long grass of the west pasture, where she stood like moonlight, listening for foxes. It was something like love from another world that seized her from behind, and she gave, not lifting her head out of dew, without ever looking, her best self to that great need. Turned loose, she dipped her face farther into the chill of the earth, and in a sound of sobbing, of something stumbling away, began, as she must do, to carry me. I woke dying. In the summer sun of the hillside, with my eyes far more than human, I saw for a blazing moment the great grassy world from both sides, man and beast in the round of their need, and the hill wind stirred in my wood. My hoof and my hand clasped each other. I ate my 1 meal of milk and died, staring. From dark grass I came straight to my father's house, whose dust whirls up in the halls for no reason, when no one comes, piling deep in a hellish mild corner. And through my immortal waters I meet the sun's grains, eye to eye, and they fell at my closet of glass. Dead, I am most surely living in the minds of farm boys. I am he who drives them like wolves from the hound bitch and calf, and from the chased dew and the wind. They go into woods, into bean fields. They go deep into their known right hands. Dreaming of me, they groan, they wait, they suffer themselves, they marry, they raise their own kind. Two of the many poems from 15 books. These were my first introduction to James Dickey, a Southern poet I had the good fortune to study with at the University of South Carolina.